Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Celebration here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Beautiful Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I love it over here. And we're going to pick up with day 2. Dr. Gabriel Swaggart is our special guest today. Man, we've had such a wonderful, wonderful time here in Baton Rouge, and you're going to love the remainder of this interview. So don't go nowhere. Call somebody right now. Tell them to tune in to Celebration. They don't want to miss this show.
From the Building of Faith, welcome to Celebration, a Christian talk and variety show with outreaches across the world via television, radio, internet, and social media. You'll hear from today's leading authors, preachers, singers, evangelists, songwriters, and local Christian leaders. Now here's your host, president and founder of Journey Network, Dr. J.T. Guyton.
My grandfather paid me one of the highest compliments that I've ever received from him. And a couple years ago, he called me on a Sunday afternoon, and he said, "Man," he said, "I just want to tell you," he said, "I've been watching you the last 5, 7, 8 years as you've been leading the services." And he said, "There's a lot of times whenever you get up there and the choir's getting done singing, and he said, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I wish that he would go to this song, and you'd be right there."
Wow.
And like you'd pull out that song and tell the congregation,
Wow.
and you know where to go.
Yeah.
And he said, "That's rare."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, Papa, I just kind of learned from watching you for the last 40 some odd years of my life."
Yeah.
And he says, "Well," he said, "you're doing a good job through it." And he said, "It's not easy to do."
Yeah.
He said, "But you have a knack for knowing where to go and knowing
Sure.
how
Sure.
far to take it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I miss it at times." He said, "Well, we all do."
Sure. Sure.
He said, "I miss it at times." He
Yeah.
said, "But you have a knack for it."
Yeah.
And I felt like that was one of the highest compliments that he's ever paid me.
Absolutely. And you do well with that. Did you ever desire to play the piano?
I
you
did as
try?
a kid. I took lessons as a kid. My mom wanted me to take it. I was about 8 or 9 years old. And there's somewhere, we got a tape somewhere of me doing a recital. I don't know where it is,
Cool.
and it's going to be. I think I want to keep it hidden for a long time.
Sure.
I don't know. My piano teacher at the time, she told me, she's like, "He's got it," and I'm like, "Got what?" She's like, "You got talent," and I was like, "I'd much rather play basketball than do this all the time." And I look back at my life now, I'm like, "Oh man, I wish I would have kept up with it. You know, I wish I would have kept up with it." But
I saw something last night, I believe it was. So I was just trying to prep for this today, and so I was going through Jimmy Swaggart reels on Facebook and
Oh, boy.
things. But you know how it is. It'll bring up actual reels, but sometimes you'll get a post that Mark had posted, Mark Coleman,
mm-hmm.
and he said this was the Crusade team. He put the year, and a lot of people, some I'm sure will remember this, but a lot will be like me and did not know this. But your mom
she played piano.
was the piano player
She was, yeah. She
in the
played,
Crusades for a while.
She played piano for several years, and my mom was an excellent piano player.
Yeah,
And she learned how to play piano as a kid,
sure.
and she would play during the Crusades a lot,
Yeah.
especially during the praise and worship.
Yeah.
Before
yeah.
Papa would take the service.
Yeah.
But I remember as a kid, watching her play that piano and follow along with everything, and then her come walking back and sitting down with us.
Yeah.
On the platform, and but yeah, my mom was an excellent piano player.
Now, was your grandfather your mom's dad? Was he a minister?
No,
No.
His dad was.
Okay.
His dad planted a church, Vernon Assembly of God, in Louisville, Mississippi,
Okay.
and it's still there.
Yeah.
And it basically it's just family, and
Yeah.
and there's been a little thought in my mind about eventually, because being that my great grandfather on that side of the family, the Robertson side of the family, started the church and founded it. There's a thought in my mind that eventually I'd like to buy that church and just keep it, because
Yeah.
my grandmother's buried there.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of my family members on that side that are
Okay.
in the Miles side, the Robertson side, Patterson side.
Yeah.
But they're buried there.
Sure.
And there's been a thought in my mind that if I could,
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever work, but eventually I'd like to purchase that building,
Yeah.
that church,
Yeah.
and just have it as a memorial,
Sure.
because
That'd be
that was the other side of my family
Yeah.
that started that church.
Yeah. So you come from a spiritual legacy
Absolutely,
on both sides.
both
yeah.
sides of the family.
Yeah. We're going to move on and talk about a couple other things in just a minute, but I want to hit two things real quick before we move on to that. One, what's your? I realize you were a kid for a lot of that season, but what's your greatest memory of those crusades?
So there's two thoughts. One, I remember as a kid when we would get there, we'd always arrive on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Services would start on Friday. We'd fly in as a family on Wednesday. And many times we would go to the arena with my dad. And while they're setting up, you know, a lot of union workers, people are doing different things. Rick Motter and some of the other guys, Rick Motter was our sound man for that
Okay.
time. And some of the other guys there, they would, in the arena floor, would take that black tape, that, you know, masking tape, whatever it is, and they would roll it up into a ball. And then they would mark out a diamond. And then they would take a broomstick, and to pass the time, me and my brother would take turns swinging that broomstick and trying to hit that tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And running the bases, like acting like we were,
Wow.
playing baseball. And but I remember that as a kid, going in, different, auditoriums and arenas doing that.
Sure.
But I also remember as a kid thinking that this was normal. Like everybody did this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now looking back, you start to see how special those moments
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
Because not everybody did that.
That's correct.
And not everybody can draw a crowd like that.
Absolutely.
And, my grandfather was told many times before the crowds got so big that nobody can draw 10,000 seats for one person. And yet he would draw 20, 25,000 and then go overseas and draw 200,000 plus per service.
Wow.
There's a stadium in Brazil that has, when it first opened, I think my grandfather was one of the first quote unquote acts to use it. And it sat, I don't know, 175,000 people, whatever
Yeah.
it was. It was a monstrous number.
Sure.
And he filled it all 3 nights.
Wow. Amazing.
And they told my dad, they said that arena, it's a soccer stadium. He said that soccer stadium, no one's ever come close to filling it. And he said, your dad has the record
yeah.
of being able to fill that soccer stadium. They said so many acts. I think they said the Rolling Stones were there and other groups. They never could fill it. He said Brother Swaggart was the only one that filled it.
Wow.
Only one.
The anointing
Absolutely.
and what he was called to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall, I think I saw a picture somewhere of a Gabe Swaggart selling product at one of the crusades.
Oh, you probably did.
Behind the product table selling LPs.
Oh, you probably did. we did it, man. I've been selling records since I was a kid.
All right.
So I would help sell records as a kid, and I would help sell stuff for my dad when I traveled with my dad when I was a
Okay.
teenager.
Wow.
I'd sell product for him.
Sure.
And there have been times where I've done a lot of work around here. I've answered telephones.
Yeah.
I remember one night, we were on Sunday nights at that time on BET,
Uh-huh.
and so it was the 1 hour special, and so we would be upstairs and I would be manning a room. We would have like 4 different people manning rooms in Family Worship Center.
Okay.
Upstairs in the balcony, we'd take those rooms and we transform them to call centers.
Okay.
And I manned one room, and sometimes we would be short and I'd have to answer the phones too. So one night I answered the phone. I said, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, how can I help you? And lady, she answered the phone and she said, I'd like to order a Bible, or Expositor Study Bible. I said, sure. I said, how many you want? Went through the list, and there was a long pause, and I said, ma'am, are you there? She said, is this Gabriel Swaggart? I said, no, ma'am. She said, are you sure? I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, you better not be lying to me. And I said, no, ma'am. I said, you know, a lot of people tell me I look just like him, I talk just like him, I walk just like him, but I've never met him before. and so, see, we went on. I got her information and about to sign off, and she said, are you sure this isn't Gabriel Swaggart? I said, yes, ma'am, I'm sure. And I'm like, if I did that, if I told her I was, well, she'd probably keep me on the phone for an hour.
Right.
So I was like, I couldn't do that. And I hated to do that, but I had a list. I mean, the lines were busy, so I had to get up there and go to the next
That's
one.
funny.
But yeah, I've done a lot of. I worked in television for a little bit, worked in shipping. You know, those are fun days.
Yeah, that's the best way. Learn
Just
all
learn
the
it
ins
all.
and outs. Yeah.
Learn it all.
One of the things I loved before we move on to this next segment is if you watch older footage and whatever, is how Jimmy Swaggart would call Jerry Lee really to Jesus publicly.
Oh yeah.
Did not bat an eye, was not ashamed to do such, but done it in such a loving way that it didn't feel judgmental. It didn't
wasn't.
whatever.
It wasn't.
But thankfully Jerry Lee came to the Lord
Yes, he
before
did.
he passed away.
You know, I remember as a kid, about 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee had just, it was I think 1986, 85, 86, somewhere right around that time frame. He had to be checked into the hospital for drugs, and you know, just he was bad off.
Yeah.
And I would always go to my grandparents' house whenever they were in town, and I would spend the night with them. And so one day I ran over to the house and barged in the back door, and I'm looking, and I see Jerry Lee sitting right there. And I'm a kid, like I don't really know what's going on. I knew the name, and I'm familiar that he was famous, but I didn't really pay attention as to how famous that he was.
Yeah.
And really how famous my grandfather was.
Yeah.
And he was sitting right there. And Papa came in, he said, man, I want to introduce you to your cousin, Jerry Lee Lewis. So I shook his hand, went right on upstairs, and just, you know, whatever. And apparently he had checked himself out of the hospital and drove from Memphis.
Yeah.
I think he took a cab from Memphis, Tennessee to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to stay with my grandfather.
Wow.
And so that was one of my first memories of Jerry Lee Lewis was walking in the house and seeing him right there.
Tell me if this story's true.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, we'll cut it out. Your grandfather was somewhere, Pittsburgh somewhere. Jerry Lee was also playing there.
Ohio.
You know the story I'm going to...
Ohio.
Jerry Lee was very drunk, very intoxicated.
He was high.
High.
And so what happened, my grandfather was in a certain town in Ohio, and I believe it was in Ohio, and Jerry Lee was in this neighboring city.
Yeah.
Papa was closing a crusade, and Jerry Lee was opening a show.
Okay.
And there was a police officer that was waiting for Papa backstage. And when he got done, it was Sunday afternoon. And Jerry Lee had just went on and 10 miles, I guess, 15 miles.
Yeah.
And he said, Brother Swaggart, he said, it's your cousin. He's bad off. We need you to come to where he is and see if you can talk some sense into him. Papa said, yeah, take me there. And, you know, of all things, I found a picture of this. It's the only time I ever saw a picture of it on the internet. And it was the night that Papa went to that club.
Wow.
Jerry Lee was highly intoxicated, high, drunk, slurring his words. The audience was not really happy. And Papa said, he told me many times, he said, it just broke my heart to see him like that.
Yeah.
And he said, I walked right on the stage, bent down, touched his shoulder and went to his ear, and I said, Jerry Lee, we need to take you home. You're not doing good. And Jerry Lee kind of mouthed off at him, and Papa said, I used to whoop you as a kid, I'm going to whoop you right now. You're going to get up and we're going to take you home.
All right.
And he said, yes, sir. And Papa got up on the stage, and I believe he was wearing red pants and a white shirt. And you can see when Jerry Lee's look, Jerry Lee was just like stunned.
Yeah.
Like Papa was there.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing for him. And he was open. He said, Jimmy Lee Swaggart saved my life that night.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of moments like that throughout Jerry Lee's life.
But I think what a lot of people, it goes back to the kindness of your grandfather. If I heard correct, your grandfather paid the promoter.
He did.
And brought Jerry Lee back
did.
to help him get.
Got him sober for a little bit.
Yeah.
Him and my grandmother would pour out all the pills. They sobered him up, and then of course he would go on his way.
Yeah, but that's not a light thing to pay a booker or a promoter for a concert somebody can't. Yeah, just awesome.
Have you ever wondered what heaven will be like? Heaven, an Amazing Place by my uncle Dr. J.T. Guyton answers many of your questions and gives biblical insight into our future home. What will be in heaven? What won't be in heaven? Will we work in heaven? Will we all have the same joy in heaven? These are just a few of the questions answered in Heaven, an Amazing Place. When you sow your seed of $25 or more to the Journey Network, we want to send you this exciting book as our gift of appreciation. Please call or text today to get your copy. And make sure to ask for offer A-26. The text number is 251-654-5573. You can also call 1-833-963-5433. Or you can visit journeynetwork.live. God bless you. Hey friends, we want to invite you to keep up with all of the exciting things going on with the Journey Network on social media. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Journey Network or on Instagram at J3 Media. You can also visit us on journeynetwork.live or download the J3 Radio app to keep up with your favorite music. Or check out the J3 Media YouTube channel for full-length interviews, longer clips, and so much more. You don't want to miss a single thing that's going on over there, so make sure to turn your notifications on and tell somebody else about it so you can sow encouraging content into other people's lives, including your own.
Dr. Gabriel Swaggart.
I still have a hard time hearing that. Hard time hearing that.
Was no easy task, huh?
No.
Yeah.
No, sir. It was a difficult task.
But well worth it, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You are I don't want to sound like I'm bragging here, but I said this earlier in the interview. You're a man that I believe you're anointed to do what you're doing. You're reaching this generation today. You are a great presenter of the gospel. I must publicly confess I have preached one of your sermons before.
Oh, which one?
The fivefold blessing.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
I have preached that sermon.
I love that one. I could preach that one every Sunday. My Lord, I could preach it every
I didn't
Sunday.
take credit for it, though. You know, I just kind of preached it. But if anybody would have asked, I'd have said, hey, this is a Gabriel Swaggart sermon. But you are investing a lot of time. And I want to try to hit a little bit about the message of the cross or anything else you want to hit on in just a minute. But you are transforming Jimmy Swaggart Bible College in a phenomenal way. Tell me about that.
It's been the hardest last 8 years of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really been difficult.
Yeah.
When I came in, let me back it up. In
Sure.
2017, I was praying one morning. And right where I was praying, to my left was Family Christian Academy.
Okay.
Straight ahead was Family Worship Center and the headquarters building, administration building.
Okay.
To my left was JSBC. And I was just kind of gazing around the property. Started at the right, looking at all the ball fields and FCA, and looking at the church and administration building. And when I got over here to my left and saw the college, this side of the street, the Lord spoke to my heart, and it was such a strong. I'll say it this way: there are several times it's happened. Doesn't happen all the time, but there are many times where the Lord He'll deal with my heart about something.
Sure.
But then there are specific times where it is so real,
Yeah.
and it stops me cold in my tracks.
Wow.
And when I was looking at the college, the Lord spoke to me, and it was just like, I felt it in my spirit. That college needs to be accredited. And I'm like, that is not me. I mean, that's not God. That's me. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But it was so strong that I literally just had to stop praying for a moment, and I was just dwelling on that. Finally, I just like, I don't know, I just not, whatever. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. It went on for at least a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I just couldn't shake it, and I went up and talked to my grandparents about it. And my grandmother, she said, if anybody's going to do it, it has to be you. And I said, Mimi, I can't. I don't have the degrees, I don't have the qualifications, I don't have the experience. Academia is not something that I want to be involved in.
Sure.
Dropped it. Brought it up again, week or two later, same thing. You need to do this. Mimi, I can't. I'm not qualified. We'll find somebody else that can do it. We were in a board meeting one day, and we were about to finish. My grandmother raised her hand. She said, I want to add something to the agenda. They're like, okay. You're not going to tell her no.
Yeah, right.
You know. And she looked at me and she said, Gabriel, she said, I want you to take over the college. And then she said these words. She said to me, I can't do it. I'm too old. Your grandfather's too old and too busy. We need somebody we can trust to do this. And I said, Mimi, do you know what it's going to take? She said, we're going to do it. And you're going to be the one doing it. And I just said, okay. And I knew that this was the direction the Lord wanted me to go in. I just was trying to fight it because this was a world that I knew nothing about. And God at times, in phases in your life, He makes you very uncomfortable and places you in circumstances that you don't know anything about.
Yeah, yeah.
But it causes you to trust Him.
Sure.
And this was one of those moments, and I told her, I said, Mimi, not only is it going to take a huge financial burden to get this thing going, but I got to go back to school and get my degrees. I said, I can't leave this college without degrees.
Sure.
And then she said, well, go do it. I'm like, do you know how hard that is? So for 7.5 years, in 2018, I finished in 2025. August of 2018, May of 2025. That time frame, I finished my undergraduate. Took 2 years to do that. My master's took 2.5 years to do that. 2.5 years to do my doctorate.
Wow.
And that space and time, my grandfather would ask me and joke around with me. He said, what books are you looking at this time? And so during the share-a-thons, I'd bring all my school books, and I would follow his shift, and I'd lay them down. And I mean, I've got a lot of these books are over here and behind all those other books, and I remember one was this thick, and it must have been that big. It was that thick.
My goodness.
Print was that small.
Yeah.
You know, and I swear, I tell my grandfather all the time, I said, all these educated people write these books because they want to make you feel stupid.
Yeah,
because you don't have a clue what they're saying. So, but we got through it, and to this day, I graduated in May, and I'm the first doctorate in our family.
Wow.
First person to go through the doctoral program. And believe me, I know a lot of people, they say this, and I don't know where they get it from, but I didn't just, this wasn't one of these degree mills.
Yeah.
I went through hard, I worked for it. I went through Oral Roberts University. That's no slouch of a school.
That's right.
I mean, they're very, very high when it comes to their academics.
Sure.
And I went year round for 7.5 years. Never took a break. Year round. And to get it done. About 2 months before I was set to graduate, this was about March, we were making plans, and of course I told my grandparents, I said I wanted them to come.
Sure.
But I knew how hard it was for my grandparents to travel. My grandfather just made 90, my grandmother, she's 39, I'll just leave it at that.
There you go.
And it's hard for them to travel.
Sure.
And I would tell Papa, look, I understand, look, if y'all can't make it, I get it. One day, we went back and forth, and finally one day I was bringing him to church one day, and I said, you know, Papa was sitting in the front seat, Mimi was right behind him, and I said, Papa, look, we were talking about it, he was asking, and I said, look, I understand, if y'all can't make it, I get it. It's not going to bother me.
Yeah.
I would love for y'all to be there to see this, but I'm not gonna cry if you can't. And Papa was looking straight ahead, never even looked at me, never broke gaze. He just said, man, quit asking me about it. We're going. There's nothing you can do to stop us from not going.
Okay.
And that was the last trip he took.
Wow.
And to this day, I can't look at my degree. I have it. It's still in its envelope, large envelope, and it's still sitting on my kitchen. And I've only been able to look at it twice. Yeah. And I can't get myself to look at it because it just brings it up that this was the last trip that he ever took, and it was to watch me walk across that stage at the Mabee Center and earn my degree. Yeah. And that day was so special.
Sure.
We were about to walk out, and they pulled up, and I have to give credit to ORU, Dr. Wilson and Mike Matthews, and a lot of those guys. They really took care of my family. Yeah. And they didn't have to, but they did.
Sure.
And Mike Matthews was waiting there for my grandfather, and we were literally about to walk into the Mabee Center.
Yeah.
And we wheeled my grandfather back to where my class was. And all my classmates were just like, they were blown away.
I bet.
You know, because and they all know him.
Sure.
They all watched him.
Yeah.
And I mean, just beaming from ear to ear, just watching, and they wanted to all get a picture, and I was like, man, we just don't have the time to do it. And our professors were saying, we don't have time, we've got to get out there. Yeah. And I wish we would have had the time for everyone to get a picture with him.
Sure.
But he always made jokes about all of us and looked how funny our hats were. And but when I looked up at that, in the box where they were sitting, when I walked across that stage, and I saw the smile on his face. And that afternoon, as we got home in my brother's house, and he would just tell me, he said, man, I'm proud of you. This was not an easy thing for you to do, and you sacrificed a lot to do it. And he said, I am proud of you. You were the first doctor in our family. And then he says, but if you don't, he said, better not prescribe me anything because I'm not taking it. I kind of like, Papa, that's not, and he knows, just joking. Right.
But that one smile when you looked up was probably worth the whole 7.5 years.
It was worth it all.
Yeah.
It was worth it all.
Yeah.
And I miss that.
I'm sure.
I miss it a lot.
Yeah. Wow. That's
We are so glad you have been with us for this program. Our prayer is that today's show has been a blessing and an encouragement to you and your walk with the Lord. This ministry is continually reaching out to spread the good news of Jesus Christ to all the world. We need your love gifts and prayers to help keep this ministry on the air 24 hours a day. So call us at 1-833-963-5433 or write us at Journey Network, P.O. Box 1420, Atmore, Alabama 36504. Or you can contact us online at journeynetwork.live. If you would like to have JT come speak to your church, conference, or event, please visit our website and go to the event scheduling tab. Thank you for your continued support. And remember, God loves you, and we do too.